What up, football fans all over the world? It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Al Costas. Your boys is back. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. Good afternoon. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. We are back now each and every Wednesday from here on out until the last NFC East team is standing. So, Idle, man, won't you cue that up, man, and let them know what time of the year it is, man.
You got it, my friend. Hold on one second. It's the most wonderful time of the year, with the fans that are yelling and everyone's yelling, you have a good year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's the happiest season of all, with the parking lot greetings and fantasy meetings that are too long. It's the happiest season of all. There'll be draft parties for hosting and beers for toasting and nachos in the stove. There'll be very old stories and tales of the glories of NFL teams long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be mud showboating and hearts will be glowing when kickoff is near. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be draft parties for hosting, beers for toasting, and nachos in the stove. There'll be very old stories and tales of the glories of NFL teams long, long ago. It's the most wonderful time of the year. There'll be mud showboating and hearts will be glowing when kickoff is near. Yes, it's finally here. Yes, it's finally here. Oh, it's finally here. The season is here.
Great stuff, man. Appreciate that, Adam. Like you said, it is the most wonderful time of the year, y'all. Football season is upon us. Training camps are underway, and the NFC East is ready to rock and roll. Practice has been underway. Cowboys was at it yesterday, actually. You know what I mean? I guess everybody else got started today. Eagles, Giants, Commanders all got started today, man. Adam, we're gonna get started with the Philadelphia Eagles, I suppose, man. What you got? What you got of interest coming out of Eagles camp right now? I mean, it's only day one, but you've been hearing about the Eagles.
First off, man, what work that was! My goodness, when you hear it back, it's just gold, comedic gold. I know I'm showboating right now, but damn, that shit was great. But no, Eagle camp. You know, what are we talking about Eagle camp? Well, let's see. What can you not talk about? They're the defending champions. They have a storyline in itself. Right now, the storyline I'm looking at is there are two storylines coming out of camp. One, seems like Eagle fans are mad about this Jalen Hurts news. Jalen Hurts hasn't done anything except land in the top 10 on some people's quarterback list. Some people kick them off, but we won't talk about those people. But they landed, let's say, on the top 10 list. And we are arguing about whether or not it should be on the top 10. This is what you call winning team problems. That's what this is. Winning team problems. Okay? Not worried about how many wins you're gonna get, not worried about your offensive line. The worst thing that you're doing right now is worry about someone's list about whether or not Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback. That is so hilarious. Now, obviously, they are defending champions. There are some storylines. One, Kobe Dean, I see, is injured. He'll start on the pup list, but that doesn't really matter because they already kind of filled his slot anyways with Zach Bond and a few other guys they already brought in from the kid from what's that kid from Alabama? They brought in that linebacker. But that,
Yeah, I know.
that's one storyline. The second storyline is, can Saquon Barkley do it again? So for me, let's address Jalen Hurts for a minute. I think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I really do. I don't think there's anything wrong with him being in the top 10. I don't necessarily think he's the ninth quarterback on the list. I do believe he fits somewhere between 5 and 8. There are more talented guys. Now, we had this discussion before about on Premium Takes. Go watch it back. It was a great show, probably our best in a long time. But we talked about kind of how people evaluate quarterbacks and where they rank them. And to me, if you're the Eagles and your one storyline going in more than anything is about how do you repeat, and if Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback, at least to start right now, because it's so early, what are we talking about here? Do I think he's top 10? Yes. Do I think he's top 2? No. Do I think 5? Yes. I think the guy has a clutch gene. I think he shows you he's a leader and he's a dang good quarterback. That's what he is. But is he better than other guys? I have no idea. But hey, good to see you back, man. Mac, what are your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles? Some of the
I mean,
storylines.
like you said, first of all, thanks for stopping in, Dealer, man. Appreciate you, man. Yes, we are back each and every Wednesday, man. 5:30 p.m. Eastern time, each and every Wednesday, and here until the last NFC East team is standing. But yeah, the Eagles, like you said, they're the defending champs, man. And if, like you said, if one of your major stories coming into this training camp is just worrying about where your quarterback was at on a quarterback ranking list, those are good problems to have, man, because that's not really a problem. I mean, at the end of the day, I know the professional that Jalen Hurts is. He's not worried about that. He personally is not concerned. Us as fans, something to give us something to talk about, sure. People in the media give him something to talk about. Who's not talking about it is Jalen Hurts. I can guarantee you that for sure. All he
Absolutely.
is as laser focused as he always is, ready about the task in hand, man. Ready to go out there and try to defend his world championship that his team got. I mean, they went out there. They got those beautiful Super Bowl rings the other day. I
Oh my
mean,
goodness.
that you talk about taking over the top right there, man. Now that's setting new standards of Super Bowl rings. Now every year, every team now when Super Bowl is just gonna look to beat the team the year before. I mean, hit the button, the little wings come out. Oh, I mean that was bananas, man. But
Wow. That was not a ring, Mac. That was like a friggin' rock. That was. I sent somebody the video, and I'm like looking at this thing I remember what Michael Strahan said when the Giants won the Super Bowl. He was like, "I want a 10-tabler ring." You can see it from 10 tables away. That's like a 10 building ring. Like that thing is so huge. Like I saw
crazy work.
the video when they opened it, and he pressed a button and it opened, had hydraulics and this little light. It was kind of spinning in there. I'm like, damn, Tiffany's. I was like, y'all went all out for your team, Philadelphia Eagles have a big, big, big ring coming out. And it's funny because you're reading some of the headlines now, and Mac, you put a great point. They're trying to put the championship season behind them. They're not even going in as the defending champs. That's what their mindset is. I don't know how you can avoid that. I really don't. You are the defending champs. Honor
absolutely.
that. Honor
Target
that.
is on your back.
Right. Honor that. Don't be like, well, we're not gonna, play around. And I get it, the clean slate stuff. But to me, if I'm now going to be the hunted as being the hunter, guess what? I'm going to walk out with the biggest stick I got and say, yeah, come get me, because I ain't going nowhere. I don't want to pretend that we weren't champions. That mindset is hard. Know that you're champions. Live up to the level of excellence that you want to live up to and make everybody meet your standard. Don't sit here and try to poo-poo the season. I get the mindset. Put it behind you. It doesn't mean anything. It means a whole lot because everybody's looking at you, regardless of how you want to look at it. Everybody's looking at you. You went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago and then failed. the previous season. You got to the wild card game and then failed. This year they're going to see if you can how deep you're going to take it. Will Barkley get 2,000 yards? How are we going to stop you? Did you get a blueprint to stop in the Kansas City Chiefs? The target's on your back. It's big time. And I understand how they want to compartmentalize, and that's Jalen Hurts and how he thinks he doesn't want to think about the MVP. But dang it, I'll tell you this: your fans are going to think about it. You have a rough game because let's say teams are gunning for you now. They're gonna revert back and say, "Wait, where's the MVP performance? Where's this?" So you might as well just own that you're the defending champs and just walk with it. I don't know how you feel about that, Mac, but
I mean, it is like you said. They whether you like it or not, whether they like it or not, they are the defending champs. Target is on their back. Everybody's gonna be. They're gonna get everybody's best shot, week in, week out. They're getting everybody's best shot. Everybody wants to knock off the champs, man. But at the end of the day, let's face it. This Philadelphia Eagle team who won Super Bowl back in February are still an improved football team as you come into this season. I mean, that the roster has still yet been improved. I mean, they got superstars just all over the place. In every positional group, they have superstars literally everywhere on this field. Everywhere you look on this team, they have top stars, top guys at their position. I mean, from quarterback to running back to wide receiver, tight end, on across the offensive line, the defensive line, the secondary, linebackers. I mean, this team is absolutely loaded. So it's going to be up to them, honestly. I mean, they're going to go as far. I mean, as far as they. I mean, it's up to them. Anything that happens to this team is it's on them because to me, there's no roster better constructed than this Philadelphia Eagle roster anywhere in the
well,
league, man. This
you're
is
right about
just.
that.
I mean, this is just it's absolutely insane when I look down this roster top to bottom. Then the names and the players they have. I mean, Zach Bond's coming off a career season. Is he the real deal? We have to find out. I mean, it was last year kind of a flash in the pan. He just came out and went balls to the wall. He got paid. Is he going to be that same guy? We'll find out. Yet to be determined. I mean, rookies from last year, Cooper DeJean, Kenyon Mitchell. I mean, these guys coming off of tremendous rookie seasons. Are they ready to take that next step in their sophomore campaigns? This is the questions the Eagles are asking themselves. You know, this is what they have. This is what they're dealing with going into camp. They're not dealing with a hot mess like some of the other teams. Another team we'll be talking about later. They're not dealing with all that crazy chaos. They just gotta go in, stay focused, and keep their eye on the prize. Man, really not. Honestly, not much to really say about them other than the fact that they are what we know they are, and I mean, everything's gonna be up to them. What's going on? No Mets, no Jets, man. Appreciate you stopping in, bro. As always, man.
Well, the roster is constructed pretty well, right? Like you said, and I'm not gonna poo-poo them because they have these star players, right? We will see if some of the guys that got paid have that Super Bowl hangover, right? This is where it comes in. They want to be a dynasty. Guess what? Your dynasty starts now. Okay. No one's going to remember the last one. But if you get to 3 Super Bowls out of the last 4 years, 5 years, guess what? You're going to be considered a dynasty. You're going to take the mantle from the Kansas City Chiefs, regardless of if they end up in the Super Bowl, right? Because they've been to the Super Bowl 5 out of the last 6 years or whatever the crazy stat is, right? So, what do you want to build on? How do you want to do it? You talked about the winning team problem. You when you have so many guys, on your team. I mean, the quarterback room is loaded with young talent, right? You have Dorian Townsend-Robinson, Tanner McKee, Kyle McCord, Jalen Hurts. The running backs, they have Saquon, AJ Dillon, right? Will Shipley they drafted. They have AJ Brown. They've got Terrence Marshall Jr. They have Anai Smith and Devontae Smith as well. Like they've got guys at every level. Tight end, obviously we know them. Dallas Goddard, Grant Carlatis, and then the defense. It goes back and forth. So it's really interesting to see how they're going to come out because everyone's going to get their best shot regardless of how you like it. Now, we'll find out opening night what kind of team it's going to be. Are they going to steamroll everybody? Because, again, that's how they're built. They can literally take the league over. They won, 13, 14 games last year. They've won 13 games or at least 11 games the last 4 years under Nick Sirianni. This team knows how to win. If there's one thing this team knows how to do, it's win. Now it's about putting your stamp on that legacy. What will you be? Will you be a flash in the pan, that a team that we never talk about? Or are you going to take the bull by the horns and be the dominant team? Because, again, like you look at the Lions, I was watching the NFL, quarterback show, and they embraced being the top team. They wanted that. They wanted that. They wanted everybody to come through their building. They wanted all the smoke. Obviously, it didn't work out for them in the long run. Because of a up and coming team in this NFC East, but you got to embrace it. And I think we'll find out early on if this team is sloppy. Because remember, last year, the last time they went to the Super Bowl, they lost a couple of their coordinators. Well, guess what? They lost a couple of their coordinators again, right? Let's see if those coordinators that they bring in, you know, Kellen Moore to be exact. Let's see if that absence is going to be missed. If there is one real dramatic storyline with the Eagles, that will be it. Because remember when they lost Shane Steichen and the Gannon guy, right? Both their offensive defensive coordinator the year they went to the Super Bowl, they fell off the next year when they were adjusting to the new D coordinator and the new offensive coordinator. Then last year they got Vic Fangio and they got Kellen Moore. Obviously this year they don't have Kellen Moore. So what are they going? How are they going to look offensively? Is what I want to know. Will they be able to make adjustments? Or will it be talent based? Kellen Moore and that absence might be the key to how this season goes for the Eagles. Because if they become predictable like they were in 2023, I don't think they will be because they have 26 back there. So him alone kind of changes everything. But the point is, what will they be? How will they adjust to this? Will Nick Sirianni be the play caller? This will be yet to be determined, but it's going to be interesting to watch to see while they're being hunted how their offense is going to come out, if it's going to change any, and what they'll look like.
Yeah, absolutely. With all of that, what's going on, Coach? Thanks for popping in. Appreciate you, man. Peace and blessings to you as well. And let's you gotta. I mean, look, I'm not gonna sit here and just completely slob all over these Eagles right now. I mean, look, just like any other team, they do have some things you can maybe try to dissect, and we can try to dissect some things with this roster a little bit. And but reality, we all know, at least for right now, on paper, they are the best team in football on paper. But I was going to ask you something about like their quarterback situation a bit. Jalen Hurts, we know obviously we just spoke about him. I believe in the talent of Jalen Hurts. I believe he's a top quarterback in this league for sure, a top 10 guy, absolutely. And but after Jalen Hurts, man, in the event we talk about the Eagles, their roster, their depth, and everything, but in the event that Jalen Hurts were to go down, that's where I think there's a potential weakness, a little chink in the armor here on this Philadelphia roster. I mean, if Jalen Hurts goes down, you're looking at what Tanner McKee and Kyle McCord, rookie out of Syracuse that they just drafted this past season. Do you feel like they maybe look to try to maybe upgrade that backup situation just in case, or you think they should just go ahead and be comfortable with how things stand right now?
Well, good observation. I think they're going to be comfortable with Tanner McKee. They traded Kenny Pickett to the Browns, remember? And they brought him in to be a backup. And who got the start over the Giants at the end of the year? It wasn't Kenny Pickett. It was Tanner McKee. I don't know if Pickett was injured or whatnot, but the point was they had some faith in him. And this is going to be his third year in the system. Is there always a chance to upgrade? Harry Roseman, yes. He always is scanning the waiver wire. Do I think they're in desperate mode to get one? I don't think so because I believe they really like Tanner McKee. Because again, teams that are calling, right? I think Kenny Pickett went to the Browns. If I'm the Browns, why the hell would I want Kenny Pickett when I could get a guy like Kenny McKee or something like that? And if you're the Eagles, if you didn't believe in Tanner, which obviously you believe in him somewhat because you're getting rid of Kenny Pickett, but you're also bringing in Kyle McCord because Tanner McKee, I think, is a free agent after this year. And so you may want to bring somebody up the pipeline coming through. So I think having a young quarterback room is interesting. I don't know if they'll bring in a veteran. We'll see how their season plays out. If they're coming in, if Tanner McKee's coming in to do like a game or two because it's a blowout, or Jalen Hurts is injured for a week or two, then fine, he'll be fine. But if they get in the weeds of it and he's pulls a hammy and is out 8 weeks, I could see them making a desperate move for a team like the Giants, right? Pulling a Jameis Winston or a Russell Wilson, or a team that has like an abundance of veterans that may not be out there. But I don't think they're going to do that right now. I think they're going to let training camp play itself out. They traded for Dorian Thompson-Robinson as well. They also got him. He's got some experience. Again, he's not great, but another young guy that they'll bring up in that room, and we'll see what happens. It will be interesting because you're right. I don't think they need much in a backup quarterback if Hurts goes down like 2 weeks, like he did last year, right? I think they need more of a quarterback if he's lost. Then I'm not going to say, okay, let me start Tanner McKee for the next 10 games. But I do think they're going to stay with their quarterback room right now. And if something god awful happens, I'm not trying to wish this upon anybody. I want anybody to come back in the show. You said Jalen Hurts is going to be out for the year. Blah blah blah. No, if anything happens, God willing, I think right now they're going to stay pat with what they got.
I mean, interesting. And plus, for what it's know, I'm no Tanner McKee expert. Maybe they do know something more. Obviously, you feel like you said, feel comfortable enough to come into this season with him being the backup quarterback, because I would assume he's definitely number 2, obviously, as opposed to the rookie Kyle McCord. But at the end of the day, I just when we do this show, I try to find something. You know what I mean? Like I said, we sit here and we talk about how great this team is, and that's absolute the truth. It's absolutely the truth, man. But and I forgot. Oh, actually, I forgot they had Dorian Thompson-Robinson too. I forgot he's on the roster as well. He's in there right now and competing for a roster spot as well. But it just, to me, it just seems like that's just the one thing where I look at it, kind of stands out to me as maybe that's a potential area in which they're vulnerable, is filling in that void right after right behind Jalen Hurts in the event that something were to happen. Like you say, obviously you don't wish to see anything happen to this young man, but in case it's football, it's a violent sport and things do happen. So it's just, as I was looking down their roster, I was just like, that's like the one kind of area where it's just like, maybe the depth ain't quite all that great, but then again, maybe it is.
Let's see what happens.
This is the time to find out. This will be the time to find out all the answers, everything they need to know. I mean, it's like, because like right now, you can go look in Tennessee for right now. I mean, Cam Ward, Will Levis is now out for the season, I think they said?
Yeah.
Is he going to be out for the year?
Out for the year.
And it's just like, I mean, sure, you got Cam Ward, and most likely he was going to be your guy regardless, but it would have been good. You were also relying on hoping, to have Will Levis as that fallback if you need to go back to him. But it's just the things that happen in football. But I mean, it's Eagle team, like I said, they're locked, they're loaded, and really it's up to them, honestly. I mean, no NFC East team has repeated since 2003 or 4, I believe. Since them, the Eagles in 2003 and 4 season. So they're looking to maybe do that, see if they can be repeat divisional champions, man. But other than that, man, this Eagle team, like I said, everything, like I said, it's totally up to them. Very talented football team. We haven't even talked about some of the pieces on defense, like Jalen Carter. Just another step, another year. If I'm taking yet another step into greatness, I mean, this young man is one of the absolute elite D tackles in football, and a guy that, to me, always has the potential to be a defensive player of the year kind of candidate going into the year. I mean, this guy is a disruptor in the run game, the pass game. I mean, just like so many. I mean, you can just talk all day. And I hate sitting here speaking so positively about this Philadelphia Eagle team, but right now it's all you can do is speak positively because they're really just that damn good, to be honest. I mean, if you got to be honest with yourself, this is a phenomenal football team, and the rest is up to them. What is going on, G-Man? Appreciate you stopping in, man. Thanks. Yeah, we are back each and every Wednesday, man. We're here every Wednesday now until the one NFC, till the last NFC East team is standing, man. So we are back on a regular basis, man, all through the preseason, getting ramped up, getting ready for the regular season, man. What is going on, Reality Check, AK? What's good, my guy? Appreciate you stopping in, man. No doubt indeed, man. Talking about them Philadelphia Eagles, for sure, man. Yes, y'all got a good team right there, AK, man, but it's up to them, man, to see what they want to do, man. Everybody's going to be coming after them, man. So let's see if they can hold up, man. But you got any more final thoughts on the Eagles before we wrap this up? Wrap the Eagles?
No, I think we've touched on most of what we're going to touch on right now for them.
Yeah, I agree for sure with that. Dealer. Grant Calcaterra played well for Philly also at tight end last season. So if they do ever move off of Goddard, they have a viable option to replace him. I absolutely agree with that. I noticed that young man making some plays last year. And you're right, guys. Goddard, I mean, he's been getting nicked up a lot the last couple of seasons. So it's not out of the realm that they could be, going down that road, man, and getting ready, preparing. But that's what I mean about this Eagle roster. I feel like they're so prepared for when guys move on. They just got the other guys all like when Fletcher Cox retired. They were already locked loaded. Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. I mean, locked and loaded, man. This team, like I said, Howie Roseman, he puts on a master class of how he constructs this roster. I must admit, man, it's tough to own up to say that as a Giants fan, but it's just the reality situation, man. He does a great job with this roster building, man. And I believe they are still in pretty decent hands. If, like you said, if something happens to Dallas Goddard, Grant Calcaterra has proven to be able to step up and kind of fill that void.
I will say this before we move on. It's good to have a roster that's deep like this. So if case shit happens, you're allowed to throw guys in a trade, right? So let's say, God forbid, the worst happens, right? I won't mention it or put any names to it, but they need a valuable player at a position. You have, oh well, I have this Dallas Goddard. You need a tight end, boom, give me your tackle or something like that. Like give me your whatever player X, Y, Z. So that's what a winning team does. People want to pluck players off your roster, and you also have replacements already ready to go, which allows you to have autonomy of your roster to acquire more players. Right? You can say, listen, I'm in a pinch. I need this guy. Or if you're having a good season and you don't need a guy, you could trade him down at the deadline and acquire more assets and move up and down the draft. This is what good teams do on the roster. It's no hard feelings. You put in a great work. Dallas Goddard gave us a good 7, 8 seasons. You won a couple Super Bowls or went to them. Boom, you're on to the next team. So like that gentleman said, it's good to have depth at the position. But I think we've talked enough about this winning team. I think we have to,
Let's
move it
move
on
on to
down
the
the
next
road.
one. Bringing us to the second place Washington Commanders, the team the Eagles absolutely obliterated in the NFC Championship game a season ago. However, going into the season last year, nobody had the Washington Commanders in the NFC Championship game, and that is for damn sure. They absolutely played out of their mind. They got their quarterback, it appears. Jaden Daniels coming off a absolutely just tremendous rookie season, man. Now the pressure is on because now the Washington Commanders are not sneaking up on anybody. You are expected to be good now, Commanders. So, what you got for an encore, man? What you been hearing coming out of about Washington, Adam?
Well, let's just say I didn't have them, like you said, on my bingo card to get that far. As a matter of fact, I don't think any of us did after the piss poor season they had before they fired the entire regime, right? And all of a sudden, you're like, well, what's going on with the Washington Commanders? If they win 4 or 5 games, you should be happy. New regime, young quarterback. They really blew the doors off those expectations, and now it's interesting, right? Let's revert back to a team in 2022 who many of us thought was not that good and was fool's gold, and you shouldn't develop around a certain player. Now you fast forward to the Washington Commanders, who are in the same boat as that New York Giant team. And they have a young quarterback. Are they going to build around? The difference between the two is Jaden Daniels is far better talent right now than Daniel Jones. Do I know if he's the guy? No. Did he have a great rookie season? Yes. Right? We've seen a lot of guys have dips after their rookie years who don't do well. I mean, people trying to poo-poo CJ Stroud. I thought CJ Stroud had a solid year and did solid in the playoffs when it mattered the most for him, right? So, I don't think, this is a terrible thing in any realm, but let's see what happens now. Do I think Jaden Daniels is going to have a huge drop off? Well, he didn't have crazy numbers last year. He only had 3,500 yards. Do I think he can still get 3,500 yards passing? Do I think he can get those plays? Yes, I do. With Debo Samuel underneath Luke McCaffrey, they have a solid run game. I think that he'll have a decent year. I don't think they're going to need They're not going to necessarily have to need him, but he's going to have some magic moments. They did win. They had like one score games they won by. That's not always going to happen in the NFL, right? You're not always going to win a game off of a deflected pass, one into the end zone for the touchdown, right? Or whatever crazy Hail Mary play that they had with against the Cowboys, right? That they had, or against Chicago, and then the Cowboy game last minute they won a game crazily, right? So they're not going to be able to do all that, but the expectations have risen, like you said, and anything short of the playoffs, I think, is a failure. They can't be. They can't. The problem with the Commanders right now is because of how you built the team and because of what you're doing, you have to trust that Jaden Daniels is your franchise. That's why they're building, right? That's why they're doing what they're doing. Their offensive line is revamped. I'm not saying it's great, but you went out and traded for Larry Tunsil. Jaden Daniels got a little bigger, right? And they've added players across that skill position player side. The one guy that they should pay that someone's talking about is Terry McLaurin. Let's get into him so we can take that monkey off our back, and then we can jump into the defensive side. Terry McLaurin is great. I like Terry McLaurin. I've already have liked Terry McLaurin. Mac, I know, loves Terry, and I'll let him get into this more. But I think everything's going to be resolved. This is just semantics right now. I think this Commander team knows that they need to build. They have a window with the quarterback being under contract, so they can do the extension now. And why wouldn't he want to get paid? You finally have a winning product. You're damn right. I slogged through all these years with you through a crappy organization, through all this drama and scandal that went down with this organization. I never asked to leave. Damn right, he deserves to get paid. So, Mac, I'll let you have the floor with Terry McLaurin, as I know he's one of your guys.
Yeah, man, Scary Terry, man. I've always appreciated what he brings to the table, man. He's been a great, to me, a great receiver that's been on a lot of pretty rough teams throughout his career. Before last season, man, finally got some stability at quarterback, and you saw the year that Terry McLaurin had. Absolutely, you need to pay this man, Commanders. I mean, this man's been loyal to this franchise, and he's been there through all the ups, the downs, all the bullshit, all the BS. You got to pay this man. It shouldn't even be. You shouldn't even be thinking about it. It shouldn't be something. No hesitation. You should understand what the plan is, and the plan is you need to get him paid. You need to get him taken care of because he's your absolute superstar. I mean, other than your quarterback, obviously, but he's your other superstar on that offense. He's the guy that brings it all together, man. He made huge catch after huge catch after huge catch a season ago, man. I mean, sure, is he Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase? He's not one of those. He's not there. He's not on that tier of receiver. But at the end of the day, he is a very accomplished, a very good wide receiver. He is polished. He runs great routes. He has amazing hands. Like I just don't understand what the issue is here. Like don't revert back to like bad habits. I mean, from the last regime, man. Like in the front office, take care of your guys, man. A guy like Terry McLaurin absolutely deserves to get paid. You know what I mean? I know he's not out here demanding Jamar Chase money. He knows he's not getting a deal like that. But you got to give him what he's worth, man. You got to pay that man straight up. Let's see what we got here. He says, how do you feel about Debo Samuel, another addition that they added this offseason via trade, the Commanders? He said, I think he's a solid player, but he's nowhere near what he once was 3 seasons ago. Ben Sinnott is the player that I'm curious to see how they would use him. I mean, I get it, but I think Debo Samuel right now, they seem to have a plan for Debo Samuel, but this Terry McLaurin situation is now putting a little monkey wrench in that because theoretically, here's where an issue is with the Commanders. Like, if Terry McLaurin for any reason holds out into the regular season, man, Debo Samuel pretty much in a sense becomes wide receiver 1 for them, and that kind of changes maybe the way some of the plans they may have had going with Debo Samuel, who I know. I've read some things saying that they had some plans on utilizing him in a similar manner to what he was doing in San Francisco. But Debo he's one of those guys, and it's kind of just the way he plays. He's such a physical wide receiver. I mean, he's always dealing with the nagging injuries, man. So yeah, I don't necessarily see him really bringing back that quite that same magic from a few years ago. But he is still a very, I do agree, he's a solid player that brings something to the table. I don't know how you feel about Debo Adam and the addition of him to this offense. Okay, but
No, I think Debo Samuel. Sorry, my mouse got stuck. I think Debo Samuel they brought in. He's going to be an extra playmaker. This may be why the negotiations are taking a little longer, right? Because they just invested some money in Debo and all that stuff. I believe they should just pay him, right, and not worry about this. But I think Debo Samuel is an interesting player for them because he does a lot more. Kyle, you forget that Cliff Kingsbury, their offensive coordinator, had a guy like this, similar. Hollywood Brown over in Arizona was a gadget kind of player that he used to use over there. So he's going to know how to use Debo Samuel, and that guy's going to he's going to be in the backfield. He's going to get whatever matchup he needs, and he's going to be an X factor that we haven't seen in a while. And we'll see if he won't have the same gusto as you know as in 49er land. But I think he'll be utilized more as a receiver, and he'll be able to be motion, especially with Luke McCaffrey, if anything, right? And I think that guy talking about Ben Sinnott, I like Ben Sinnott as well. I think he's a solid guy coming out of Kansas. They also have Zach Ertz, who's still good. So I would still say their offense is kind of dynamic.
yeah, that's on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like yes, because I mean they have a committee of running backs. I think they don't really necessarily have that one standout bell cow. Brian Robinson Jr. I wouldn't necessarily consider him that standout bell cow running back, but he's definitely their top guy. But after that, they got a committee of guys. I think they come together and with the addition of Jaden Daniels, what he adds to the run game as well. And Debo Samuel, like we were just talking about, he can add something to the run game as well. So they got some guys I think that really kind of help keep that run game going. So offensively, I feel like this team pretty much they're in a good place offensively, but it's the other side of the ball that's kind of a little more sketchy. I think a little more work needs to be done on that side of the ball on defensively. I mean, sure they brought in Von Miller, we got Bobby Wagner resigned, but these guys are obviously they're older now at this point in their careers, and they still bring a great veteran leadership to the locker room. But what do you think you can expect from this team defensively, Adam?
I think it's make a better team defensively. But again, what's interesting? You talk about Von Miller. I looked up his stats yesterday. I don't want to do stat surfing, but he had 6 sacks last year. He didn't play that much for the Bills, but he had 6 sacks, right? And so for me, I don't know what he's going to do or what is going to happen with their defense, but veteran presence showed last year that it was good enough. And I think having Bobby Wagner back, still having Frankie Louvu, who we need to talk about more because he had a fucking phenomenal year on defense. He is basically their star. If you can add a couple guys in there. I think didn't they get a guy from the Cowboys? Did they have DeMarcus Lawrence? Was I wrong about that? I thought they picked him up.
No, they don't have DeMarcus Lawrence.
But Von
Yes.
Miller, they got, like they said, Frank Louvu. What's interesting is they brought in Marshawn Lattimore early on. So I want to see how their, defense comes together in the back end. Because they're not, I don't think they're going to be this defense that we talk about. Like, oh, see the Commanders 2025 defense. I think they're going to be good enough, right? I think they're going to be a bend but don't break defense. They have Deron Payne still, so he's still kind of a good player. They did beef up the defensive line as well. Let me just, bring them up, right? They have Frank Louvu. They have Von Miller. I don't know what his role is going to be, but Dan Quinn's going to have some kind of package for that kid. He's not going to ask him to do a lot. So, they have a lot of solid players: Sheldon Day, Kellen Farrell, Jalen Holmes. Like, they have a lot of decent players on this line. They just got Javon Kinlaw. They signed from the 49ers. We know him. So they signed him to a big deal to help bluster that defensive line right next to Deron Payne. He had 4.5 sacks last year. So they're going to be a collective group where I think they're going to get a lot of pressure. Like on the quarterback, they may not get a lot of sacks, if that makes any sense. Right? They'll be disruptive. They'll cause a couple turnovers. I like Trey Amos. He was drafted this year. They got uh, Will Harris. They have Quan Martin, who I kind of like. They have a lot of guys who are here. They have Mike Santaristil, their cornerback, number 0. So they have some decent players. We'll see how they mesh. And of course, they got Marshawn Lattimore last year, which is good because now he's in the system for another year. And they got Dorrance Armstrong, is the guy I was thinking about. He was the guy that used to play for the Cowboys, and now he was on the team. So he's still out there. He's going to have a decent. They're going to have a decent team. Like he had 5 sacks last year. So they're going to bring it in a collective manner, and they're not going to need like a lot of. They're not going to have like probably a huge sack guy. They're probably going to do it in a collective manner.
Yeah, I can agree. I just wish. I mean, they did a lot of work through the off season, like you said. They put some pieces around their young quarterback. Helped. Like Laramie Tunsil was a big time addition, and they've done it's like a lot of great things. I feel like on the offensive side, but I just feel like I'm just still not quite sure if they've done quite enough on defensively for me. I feel like they're in a division where they're competing against some really good receivers up top to bottom, week in and week out, just in your division alone. I mean, what the Eagles have, what the Cowboys now have, the Giants, you got Malik Neighbors, you got over at the Giants, and you never know if somebody else, steps up in that receiving core as well. And I just don't know. I mean, I'm just not so sure. I mean, like you said, I can appreciate the signings of a guy, like I said, the veteran guys like Devon Miller, and then having Bobby Wagner on board. And like I said, they do bring some leadership on that side of the football. You got, like you said, high energy guy Frank Louvo. But I just still feel like you said, they're missing something on that edge, man. Like you said, I don't expect this team to even have a double-digit sack guy. And I'm just not sure where the sacks are really coming from. When I look down their roster, I don't see any real true presence that I feel like on that edge that's going to really be true difference makers, unless you do get something more out of Von Miller than I'm expecting at this stage of his career. I mean, I just think I would have liked to see them do a little more throughout the offseason to bolster that side of the football up, man. But I think they are still a very good football team, and I think with Jaden Daniels at the helm, they can still put together a very tremendous season.
2 giant goofballs. What's up, guy? How you doing? Heard you guys on the Pat Leonard podcast. Good stuff. But real quick, their defense doesn't need to do that, though, right? Their defense doesn't need to have a huge sack guy, because if they have, let's say they collect 30, 35 sacks, right? One guy has 7 here. Like I said, Von Miller had 6 in a limited basis with the Bills, right? You don't think he gets 6 sacks in this year, and that'd be pretty good. I mean, they had Dorrance Armstrong, you just mentioned, 5 sacks. You had Deron Payne with 4.5 sacks. You had Javon Kinlaw, who had 5 sacks. So you add that up, before you know it, you're at like 15, 20, 25, and everybody as a collective has done it, right? And Bobby Wagner, look, I agree with you. I think he's old, long in the tooth, but we can't knock the fact that his presence helped that defense and the ups and downs. I don't think they're a great defense, but they played soundly the more the season went on. And they did, let's be honest, they held some teams, some decent offenses down the stretch in big moments. So let's see how I think they're building from the back of I think they're building from the cornerback and safeties. Remember, Legion of Boom, Dan Quinn was that guy, that architect for that team. Well, guess what? Their DBs are pretty solid across the board with Marshawn Lattimore, Trey Amos. I just mentioned Agent Zero, Sinelli as their cornerback, and they have a couple of safeties who are decent. So they're starting to flesh that out. And then they have a middle linebacker in Wagner, who can control everything on the front 7. So I think if they can just play sound on both fronts, they don't need to be exponentially good, just top 15, and they'll be able to probably replicate their season of last year.
Well, I mean, good luck to them, and they coming off a tremendous year. Like I said, this year they're sneaking up on nobody, so they're gonna have to strap up and be ready, because now, like I said, they're expected to be coming in, expected to be a good football team. And I think they still will be able to find some success, because I think I do love what they've got going on the offense. They need to get Terry McLaurin signed, however, and take care of that business. But other than that, I feel like offensively this team can play with anybody. I'm still a little skeptical about the defense. We'll see how that works out for them. Those that the secondary you were just mentioning, they will be tested. They will be tested if nothing else within this division alone, let alone the rest of their schedule. But we can unless you have any more final thoughts on the Commanders, we can get ready to move on from the Commanders as well and push the show forward.
Nope, I'm good.
And let's move on to them boys and them Dallas Cowboys real quick, man. Let's talk. They got underway yesterday. Actually, the Dallas Cowboys underway practicing yesterday, and I was at work last night, just you know finding myself watching Dallas Cowboy practice highlights. And one thing I noticed what they were putting the emphasis on in practice yesterday a lot was they're trying to figure out that running back situation, man. I mean, right now, you got Miles Sanders, you got the dude from Denver. What's the guy from Denver's name? What the hell's his name? Javonte Williams. Those looking like obviously 1 and 2 right now, respectively. Those are the two guys running with the first team for obvious reasons. And what do you think about this Dallas Cowboy team as they get ready, coming off a disappointing year, as they get ready for the 2025 campaign, Adam?
Well, it's interesting. I was watching NFL Network. I guess great minds think alike. I was watching NFL Network, and I was watching some of those highlights as well, and watching Marty Schottenheimer, just told him this by his father, watching Brian Schottenheimer kind of speak, right? And to me, what I thought was interesting is, I feel like this Cowboy team needs a coach like him, a guy who's under the radar, right? A guy who is an offensive mind. Like when they have a lot of expectations for themselves, and they have a decent offense. Like let's talk about it, right? I just looked at their team this week with some friends, and I called up and I said their interior line is massive. Okay, their interior line is absolutely massive. They're ranging from 325 to 335. The smallest guy is, I think, the smallest guy is their center. I could be wrong. I have the roster up. Let me just get it for you guys so you can talk. I don't think actually all four out of five starters from my research have are over 325 pounds. That is insane to think about. Okay, they have a massive offensive line, and people keep saying to me, "Oh well, they have Brian Schottenheimer. He stinks." Guess what? Brian Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator last year, so he's going to be able to to call the plays similar to last year. And when we talk about these Cowboys, they didn't. People say they didn't have a great offseason. I mean, they got Jadon Blue in the backfield, right? He's decent out of Texas, late round pick, right? They have Miles Sanders, Deuce Vaughn, and Javonte Williams, who was decent in Denver as a second back. I mean, are these bell cow backs? I don't know. Miles Sanders had 1,000 yards in the Eagles at one point, so who knows? Maybe he bounces back with a massive offensive line, right? Their receiving core has Paris Campbell, C.D. Lamb, and oh, by the way, they got a guy named George Pickens there as well, who, by the way, is having a phenomenal start to his training camp with Dak Prescott as they're building chemistry right now. So this team has so let's look at their starters on the offensive line, right? TJ Bass, he's their right guard, 325. Okay, Cooper Beebe, their center, he's 335 pounds. Jesus, you know what I mean? They just drafted what? Not Tyler Smith. They just drafted Tyler Booker. Want to know how big Tyler Booker is? Take a guess. Just round numbers. What do you think?
Well, I mean, he's 320.
320. 320. So I just take these three guys on their offensive line in the interior alone at 320. So that's Tyler. That's with Tyler Booker. Let's go to the Smith kid, right? The Smith kid, the one that everyone thinks is not that good. Terrell Smith, the left guard, the guy who will be out there bulldozing people. Okay, that guy. You want to know how much he weighs? 332 pounds. Okay, they're left guard. Now, they're only guy that they have on this team right now, like even Tyler Guyton. Look at Tyler Guyton, their first round pick from last year. He's a tackle. He's 322 pounds. Taylor Steele is the only guy on their starting roster who's under 315. He's listed here at 310, and that could be a lie depending on how they list him. Well, what am I saying here? If I'm them, I'm not doing much, but I'm running downhill. Those three guys that I mentioned at 325, 335, 321, that interior is going to maul people. And if they do what I think they're going to do offensively, and that's kind of remain the same, we'll see if Brian Schottenheimer calls the game any differently. But think about that. They're not changing much offensive coordinator. Defensively is where I'm intrigued now. Because quietly, again, the Cowboys are making these quiet moves that if they pan out, they're going to look geniuses. If they don't, like Miles Sanders and all those guys and George Pickens, they're going to look dumb. But defensively, they got a coach in Eberflus. I don't know how you feel about Eberflus, but I think Eberflus had a decent defense for Chicago, when he was there. And even though they weren't good offensively, their defenses were pretty solid. And he now comes in and he doesn't have to focus on both sides of the ball. All he has to focus on is doing what? Coaching defense. And if I'm him, I'm finding a way to get Micah Parsons and putting him all over the field, which we'll talk about him in a minute because obviously he has a contract.
I was going to say, yeah.
But if you look at their team defensively, right? They got Miles Smith. They just brought back Dante Fowler. They have Micah Parsons. They drafted that kid out of Boston College. They got Sam Williams back. He's healthy. They have Marshawn Nealon, who's competent. Odigizua, they spent money. When you start to rack up their names, you're like, oh wow, they have a solid team defensively. They could be pretty good. They got Kenneth Murray via trade. They have DeMarion Overshown when he comes back from the pup list, right? They have Shamar James, who they just got. I don't know. I think he is he. Did he the one? I think they got. I thought there was some controversy with him, but I think he's okay. And then, like I said, in the back end, they have Deron Bland, Josh Butler, Andrew Booth Jr. They got here, right? They have Trayvon Diggs coming back. Yeah, he's on the pup list, but we believe he's going to be here at some point. Malik Hooker, right? They got Siobhan Ravel, who people liked in the draft in the third round. A lot of people loved him coming out of Eastern Carolina, right? And they brought in Kamir Elam from the Buffalo Bills, or a former first round pick who didn't quite make it with the Bills, but it was a first round talent for a reason. Maybe he fits better in Eberflus's defense. I don't know, but those kind of moves are the kind of moves that if they work out, you're like, holy crap, But if they don't, the Cowboys will probably be middle of the road, and we're not talking about them anyways. But that's my take on them and some of the storylines. But I think they're an intriguing team. And as much as the media is going to ballyhoo them, we really have to kind of look at them not as like, okay, maybe they are a 7-10 team like they were last year, but they are talented and they can beat you. And if you get caught sleeping, they're going to beat you. So that's my take right now. I think you want to talk on a certain defender.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the biggest storyline. Obviously, it's the Cowboys going into training camp. It's their biggest storyline is the superstar defensive player, Michael Parsons, their defensive MVP. I mean, the best player on their defense, maybe arguably the best damn player on their team. And they need to figure something out here. I mean, I think Jerry Jones kind of goes through this every year with whatever star. We saw it with CeeDee Lamb a year ago. You can't just keep messing around with these guys. I mean, you gotta look. What is the holdup? You understand what this man brings to the table. You understand what he's done since day one stepping into your building. There's nothing really to think about. I mean, nothing to think about. These players are getting more and more expensive every year. It is what it is. TJ Watt just broke the bank. And now Micah Parsons is getting ready to do the same thing. But Jerry Jones needs to pull his thumb out his ass and take care of it, man. I mean, it's just, to me, it's ridiculous to play around with players of this value. Now, one thing I will say about Micah Parsons that I absolutely do respect wholeheartedly, he's not making it completely all about himself. He is still very much a team guy. He is there at camp, still supporting his team. He's not participating in any drills, while he's dealing with this contract, though, he's out there on the field supporting his guys out there, and I can appreciate that. I mean, that just shows the character of a Michael Parsons, man. But I don't know what your thoughts on this contract is situation, or how you think they need to go about handling it,
Well,
or how do
it's
you think they've been
interesting.
handling it well?
It's interesting that you brought up that he's not missing, and then Terry McLaurin is missing, right? But we're not mad at Terry for missing, and then we were commending Parsons for not missing, because had he missed, it would probably be an even bigger story than it is. How do I think they're handling it? I mean, they're handling it like they always do. Okay, these are the Cowboys. What did I say to you last year about CD Lamb when we went into these problems? Right? Eventually, it'll resolve itself. Tommy, my man, how are you? Good to see you. Um, it'll resolve itself. These things will resolve itself. Do I agree with what they're doing? No, but do I mean, we go through this song and dance. I feel like once every couple of years with the Cowboys. Ooh, are they going to pay Dak Prescott? He's going into his contract year. I don't know. Blah blah blah. Mega deal breaks across the ticker, right? You know, CD Lamb. What are we going to do? Blah, 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 breaks across the ticker. They paid this man, right? So Jerry Jones, while he is a bit of who he is, I do realize he is smart, and the brain trust over there does keep players on their position. I don't think they're going to let Michael Parsons walk out the building. That would be the most devastating move ever to do it. I think they're going to get it done. When, I don't know. He's still technically under contract, but it probably will get done sooner rather than later because they don't want to probably let it linger. He's not in drills, but he's with the team, so he's going about it the right way. So Jerry can respect that. I know they're jabbing at each other, and Micah's not really happy about how Jerry's going about it, and Jerry's commending him, and they're going. This is all smoke and mirrors. At the end of the day, they'll get it done, and if they don't, it'll be a laughing stock. And Jerry Jones. There's one thing about the Cowboys: they can be bad, but they're not going to be the laughing stock. That's not what he wants. He understands losing seasons, and he can tolerate that. But being a circus in the opposite way with this, no. But every big player that has come up, which people need to look at the history. Every player that has come up for contract, he has signed, from Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb to some of these big guys. Now, some of them they let walk, Zeke Elliott and a few others, but they got some big time players, and they're going to let they're not. They better not sign George Pickens prior to this. But I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Parsons go, and then at some point when Pickens is having a beast of a year, they'll negotiate that, right? And they'll figure it out. But these are negotiations. This is what happens. Like I said to you guys last year, at the same time with CD Lamb, I think it'll get done, and I pretty much know it's going to get done. But this is what the Cowboys do. The Cowboys again had nothing really to talk about all off season. They made some under the radar signings. Nothing big, no splashes, right? No, not even with their coach. They kind of went with a ho hum coach. Here they are dragging out the Cowboys' attention. How has all the media attention on them? Micah Parsons, are they going to pay him every question? Da, da, da. Please, they love that. They want to be relevant. That's how they are getting relevant. And at the end of the day, I think Jerry Jones is going to open the purse strings like he always does with his three main stars. And you're going to see Micah Parsons break the bank, break the TJ Watt bank over, and the Cowboys are going to pay him a boatload of money, right? They don't have the same. It's not that I don't. It's interesting that we in the NFC East, the two teams that are kind of vying to get to number one, right? The Cowboys and the Commanders, both have kind of weird holdout situations going on, and both players that are holding out are cornerstones of the team, and it's almost like a no-brainer. So why are they dragging it out? Well, it's business. This is how you do it. These teams like to nickel and dime and do all these dumb things and make them jump through hoops. But like I said, at the end of the day, if number 11 for the Cowboys, isn't here on a long-term mega deal, I'd be shocked.
All right, well, let's talk about guys that are right now participating in. How about George Pickens, a guy they brought in? They were able to trade for with Pittsburgh Steelers this all season. A guy that kind of has a little bit to prove. I mean, he's got a pretty bad reputation, kind of. As not necessarily a team guy, kind of a me first guy, attitude, kind of a bit of an attitude problem. It's been so far, I'm hearing nothing but great things in Cowboy land. with him, like you said, him and Dak trying to build up that chemistry. What do you expect? Kind of do you expect to see from a George Pickens? Is he willing to understand coming in here? He's not wide receiver one here on this roster. He has something. Does he have to have that full understanding of his role? What do you expect from George Pickens?
I expect a huge year from George Pickens. It's a contract year. He knows he has to button it up. He's going to be on the grandest team, a team that's going to get him the ball, right? I think one of the, I think Deila, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Deila, he mentioned it. He said, I'm not worried about Dallas and the running game. Dak will have another year of a ton of pass attempts. Well, guess what? You brought in, George Pickens, who is gonna here's the reputations. His agent is in his ear telling him, "Yo, you make a star with the Cowboys. You're going to get paid. They're going to pay you." And have two guys on the outside that basically Dak Prescott has never had before, right? And we're not talking about a washed up Brandon Cooks. We're talking about a kid in his prime who was frustrated. I get it. Pittsburgh is not the offense for George Pickens. This is the offense for George Pickens. And I think him coming in with his reputation, these are the kind. Listen, if there's any team to go to be braggadocious and pretty out there with your personality, the Cowboys are it. In the history that I've known the Cowboys, they don't turn away from personality. Okay, they embrace that shit, good, bad, or otherwise. Okay, that's what they do. That's how the Cowboys have their swagger. They love that shit. They almost weird. I mean, they brought in what is that kid? Not Landry, Gregory. They had that kid on the team for a while, right? And they took his personality in. So they don't give a damn about personality. They give a damn about results. And the one thing that George Pickens has done is produced on the field. Okay, so the Cowboys get a win-win. He sucks. He doesn't get paid. He's good. Guess what? They got two of the best in the game at their position. And if you are starting to notice a trend in the NFC East, there's starting to be double wide receivers on each side of the football. If you look at the Eagles, they've got Smith and Brown. You look at the Commanders, they got McLaurin and Debo Samuel. If you look at the Cowboys, they have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I mean, we're talking about top tier wide receivers are going to be coming out of the NFC East. Okay, and to me, again, when you have Dak Prescott, thank you, Deila, you know, when you have a team like Dak Prescott, a guy who's going to have high attempts at the football, it only means that George Pickens is going to eat. Think about all the times CeeDee Lamb was double teamed last year. They had nobody because he was washed up and the quarterback couldn't get him the ball because he was injured, right? So they doubled and tripled. He had 1,000 yards, CeeDee Lamb, with a bum shoulder. Didn't even play a couple games. Now you put an actual viable threat on the other side. We're not talking about like, a Golden Tate or some washed up receiver that you're bringing in here to kind of like an Amari Cooper to kind of relive some glory days. You got a kid in his prime who another team shipped off, who, by the way, replaced him for another guy in his prime, and DK Metcalf. So you're getting a low budget rental who could pay big dividends, for the Cowboys. And I'm not saying, no Mets is right. It is still the Cowboys. I understand that. But just think if they lock it up. And remember, I hate to bring this stat up, but this is a fact. Every year that Dak Prescott gets injured, the following year he has an enormous year. Okay? Remember, in 2023, he had the injured thumb and had a horrendous year. 2024. In 2022, he had the injured thumb. Horrendous year. Came back in 2023 and absolutely lit the league up in 2023. Okay? Going to the playoffs. And then 2024, he's injured this year, right? Expect big things out of Dak Prescott if he's healthy. That's what happens with this guy. That's his trend. And again, like I told you, the offense is not changing much from last year. Brian Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator. May not have been calling the plays, but you don't think he stole Mike McCarthy's playbook or a couple things out of it? I'm sure he has. And with the offensive line I told you, I'm not trying to, boost the Cowboys up because we're in the NFC East. But as I always tell you, I'm a content creator. And from the outside looking in, I like the George Pickens move. I think quietly it was one of the best trades that we might see. It's one of those things where if he blows up, Pittsburgh's probably not gonna care because they're gonna have 1,000-yard receiver in Metcalf. But you're gonna be like, damn, why didn't we get him? Right? Imagine George Pickens here with the Giants. How much better would they be with those two guys? I'm just saying. And now you're gonna put him out with CeeDee Lamb, who had 1,700 yards with Dak Prescott in 2023, and now you're going to get him singled up sometimes because people are going to have to roll coverage over to cover Pickens. Oh no, by the way, Ferguson was a decent tight end. Like they have a solid offensive group, and I mean, as much as we want to laugh at the Cowboys every year, we have to kind of, kind of turn to them like, I'm going to keep an eye on you because you could be annoying down the stretch, with their offense.
No, I mean I absolutely agree with the Cowboys. They have a pretty talented roster, but I also do agree with my guy in the chat. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Like he said, it's the Cowboys. They always kind of find a way to cowboy it up. I don't know. It's just a
But they've
thing
beaten
they.
the Giants with backup quarterbacks and Dak Prescott. So as
Well,
much as I know where no Mets is coming from, I get it from the Giant perspective. They're the Cowboys, but they're the Cowboys that have always beaten us the last decade. So I'm just
well,
pointing it out.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's it. That's a shame on the Giants. I mean, they never seem to be able to take advantage of the Cowboys when they're playing some of their worst football. The Cowboys, or the Giants, do always seem to be that get back game for the Cowboys every year. It does appear that way, but we'll see. We following the Cowboys. We'll be talking a lot more about them, upcoming weeks, obviously. But let's get on to it, man. We gotta go. We gotta go where we all waiting to go. Let's go to
Here
New
we go,
York
no Mets.
Giant training camp, brother. Let's get there, man. Let's get there. I mean, it's day one practice, no pads,
I'm not sure that
So of course the offense had a great day. I mean, look, I'm not going to get all crazy about it yet because there's no pass, still no hitting, no real contact. So until the offense is making plays, when the defense is really able to get after it, you know, I'm still kind of calm down. They did have a really good day today offensively, though. Malik Neighbors had a great day of practice. Wandale Robinson gets a touchdown catch on the very first play of practice. I mean, Cam Scatterboo had a good day. Tyrone Tracy, like I said, the offense had a good day, man. Defense was still making some plays when they were able to. But what you hearing about Giants training camp after day one, Adam?
Well, first off, no Mets hit it on the head. Banks is in trouble. Deontay Banks, because if you're starting the training camp out as the number 2 corner behind Cordell Flott, who by the way was a 3rd round pick and had to bulk up and is now taking your spot on the starting defense, that to me is a bad sign. And from what I've heard, the Giants have a lot of they have a lot of drama that is starting to starting to kind of unearth a little bit. We'll get into it from what I've been hearing and listening to. It's kind of weird. You're like, oh wow, I didn't know about this. But apparently Deontay Banks was, in the doghouse last year for his attitude, and now here he is starting, you know, as a number 2 corner. So and getting burned left and right. I mean, let's be honest. Malik Neighbors is great, but when you don't want to hear about Malik Neighbors having 4 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, whatever the hell the case may be. Obviously, we weren't all there at practice. We don't know if it would be a would-be sack. But it's good to hear some solid things on both sides of the football. To me, that's my one telling thing that I start out. The other thing that's interesting is I know Jackson Dart that they're saying has a rough day. We'll get into him in a minute. But the interesting thing that they mentioned about Russell Wilson was that if it wasn't a slant route, and I know they were practicing, in the red zone, if it wasn't a slant route, it was a check down. And the one thing that hurt Russell Wilson last year was as much as he looked for the deep ball, he was a check down Charlie and he held the ball a little long. And, with a lot of the defenses we're going to be playing out the gate, we're going to have to monitor that to see if this is going to be a hindrance for the Giants, right? Because we can't always, with Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton and Russell Wilson, I expect a few more downfield throws. And obviously we'll find out what happens tomorrow as they get, more ramped up and they do more 7-on-7s. But that's the only thing I would be concerned about with the offense. And then the offensive line, I'm a little concerned about as well. They moved Evan Neal from the left side to the right side. I don't know if that's a good thing for Evan Neal. But if you can't beat out Greg Van Routen, then you've got real problems. That guy is 34 years old on his last legs as a lineman. And you need to be able to as a first round pick, as a 20-something-year-old, need to beat this guy. I am a little concerned about Andrew Thomas, but we'll see what happens. The Giants don't have much depth. James Hudson's absolutely getting abused by Kayvon Thibodeau out there, which again, another guy in his contract year. So I'm a little concerned about the offensive line. if they get banged up. Do I need to see James Hudson in there? Will that be able to do that? Defensively, I love what Dexter Lawrence said, and this is what I kind of say. Let it play out on the field. Before we anoint them this vaunted top 10 defense that we keep talking about all day, every day. Oh, defense, defense. Guess what happens when you start to point out the defense? Even though they're good, guess what happens? People are going to start to want to expose them. So I rather have them fly under the radar and kind of just let it be and let it simmer down because I don't want any hype going in right now for them. They haven't done anything to earn that hype, but let's let them build up that hype. It looks good on paper, but so did it last year. I mean, we had Kayvon Thibodeau last year. We led the league in sacks. It didn't stop the run for shit. And they cost us games down the stretch. A lot of these guys look good in practice, but they can't, do it in the game. Brian Burns, great pass rusher, but he's had one season of double-digit sacks. So let's let it play out. I'm intrigued by a lot of the rookies. Darius Alexander, some of these other players they brought in. Michael McFadden is intriguing to me. Somebody asked him, should we extend him? And I say yes. I like Michael McFadden. I think he's a lunch pail type of player, a guy that goes unnoticed, but when you look at the stat sheet, he has 150 tackles at the end of the year. Like, wow, what happened there, right? Kind of one of the unsung heroes. I don't know if Bobby Okereke is long for this team, only because they were trying to trade him during the offseason, and I think they got a couple other guys behind him who I think they like. Deontay Johnson is one. I think they brought in a veteran linebacker. So if there's anybody that I think if the season goes backwards, that they might trade for talent, look at Bobby Okereke, right? But other than that, I'm excited, see the young guys, Joel Carter, Darius Alexander. But again, I don't want to put expectations on these guys and they underdeliver. Like let's talk about Kayvon Thibodeau for a minute. I'll let you have your thoughts, Mac. I don't mean to do that. Kayvon Thibodeau came in as a 5th overall pick, and we expected him to be this, this dominant presence out the gate. And he hasn't lived up to it. Did they have a double-digit sack season? Yes, he did. But has he lived up to that 5th overall pick? No. Now, will he? I don't know. We'll find out. But every year I go in and this guy gets nicked up. He gets banged up here, does this. He shows up against bad tackles, against good games. He struggles against some of the better talent. So my point is, I don't want to overhype Abdul Carter right now. I just want him to be Abdul Carter, do what he got to do, learn the system, and get into it. Now, I want to kick it to you, Mac, but I have 2 other guys on offense I want to address just from things I hear. But I'll let your thoughts go.
Well, I mean, since you were just talking about Kayvon Thibodeau, I'm gonna just start right there. I mean, he's one of the guys this offseason, you talking about guys, putting a little extra work in. It's a contract year for him. Kayvon Thibodeau been working, doing some wrestling training, just just it feels like he needs to be able to be more of a finisher when he gets to the quarterback. He said he wasn't satisfied, with some of the half sacks and stuff like that. So he's putting in that. I can just appreciate and see some of these guys are doing, trying to develop themselves and become better players and become better at their craft. So just want to make that note that Kayvon Thibodeau is somebody that's been putting a little extra work in this off season, trying to prepare himself for what needs to be a big year for this young man. Because you're right, you're absolutely right what you said. He has not lived up to his draft spot. Has he been a pretty decent player? Yeah, sure. He hasn't been he hasn't been a bust. He's not on his last leg. I feel like he still has a bright future ahead of him. But at the end of the day, he's like a guy that was picked number 5 overall. He doesn't. He hasn't played up to quite to that level thus far in his career. And hopefully things can take a turn this season. I mean, all we have is the optimism of what this defense can be. I mean, we look at it right now. All we have is what's on paper. We can't. They haven't been able to put it on the field yet, as far as against another opponent or anything of that such. But I mean, on paper, it does look damn good. I mean, it is what it is. You also can't gloss over it and ignore the fact that it does look pretty damn good on paper. The Bobby Okereke is a guy coming off of what will be a very down year for him a season ago. I think this guy can rebound. I mean, he was listening to him speak. Like he said, learning the new defense a season ago. It maybe didn't take to him right away, quite like the way he would have liked to. He's got a better grip on it right now, and he feels more comfortable in the system. So I look to see if he can rebound because Bobby Okereke is a legitimate 3-down linebacker. He has nothing have to come off the field. Like I like Micah McFadden and everything he brings to the table, but Micah McFadden is a liability when it comes to pass coverage out there. I mean, it just is what it is. That's a weakness in his game, a glaring weakness in his game. So what he brings as a run stopper and sometimes getting to the quarterback as well, he does have a weakness when it comes to that pass coverage. Or Bobby Okereke definitely can hold his own back there, man. So I just look. I'm looking to see the big things with this defense, man, and I expect it to be as good as advertised. Honestly, I do. I mean, I feel like that even in the secondary, I think Tyler Nubin is going to be poised to have a very big sophomore campaign. I think that young man put together an underrated, really good season a season ago. I think people not giving him enough credit, leading all rookies in tackles up to the point where he got injured and still maintained that up until pretty much like the last week of the season before he was finally overtaken. So just bringing in Javon Holland, a guy that can now maybe allow Tyler Nubin to play a little more center field, and hopefully that can lead to some more turnovers because that's where I'm talking. What this defense needs to be able to do this year. It needs to be able to turn that football over and get that ball back for their offense, which I think will be a much more competent offensive unit this season. Look, the interceptions last year they end up with like maybe 5 or 6 on the whole damn season. It was individual players that had more than that around the league. So that's just not good enough for a team, for a defensive unit, and they got to figure out a way to get to be a little more opportunistic and get their hands on those footballs a little bit more. That's my one thing with this defense. I'll be looking forward to keeping an eye on is if they can turn that football over a lot more than what they have. But I feel like the pass rush is to me it's just destined for greatness as long as everybody stays healthy across that line. Things you'll be able to do, the packages you'll be able to roll out there. I mean, Abdul Carter, yeah, he's a rookie and has to prove it at this level. But I feel good about this kid and then like
Well,
Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence in the mix. Darius Alexander can get after it on the interior too. And I don't really see what's stopping Darius Alexander from winning that other starting defensive tackle spot right next to Dexter Lawrence week one. I just don't see what's stopping that. Do you think Nacho is a better player? I don't think Nacho's a better player than Darius Alexander right now at this point.
His name is Nacho.
I just don't see it. So I think this defense has potential to do some really special things, man. As far as the offense goes,
I just want to touch on one thing you said on defensively. The coaching is what I'm worried about defensively because this guy doesn't blitz a lot. He uses his front four to get home, right? And if you have a guy like Abdul Carter out there, I don't want to see his hand in the dirt. I want to see him up like Parsons running around and, being a wild man out there. This guy isn't known, Shane Bowen, to blitz. And now you gave a guy who doesn't really know how to handle a gun, one of the biggest ones in the closet, and you're saying, hey, shoot this kid. Like, this is what you're doing, right? Like last year, he didn't have, like when you look at his Titans defense, he had Harold Landry and he had guys like that, but he didn't really blitz much. So let's hope that he can utilize some of these defensive players to help disrupt the passer. They had a good pass rush last year, but I need Jane Bowen to step up. I need him to know when it's time to blitz. And I think a lot of the things that we misguide is while he was injured, he had a lot of injuries on the defensive side. He didn't really have that guy that was just like a standout, right? Like Brian Burns is good, but I never was like oh my God, we got a Hall of Fame talent here. I just know that he's a solid player. Do I think he's worth $150 million? I don't, but I also don't know if he's being deployed right. So we'll see what happens, how they utilize Shane Bowen. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely agree with you on the Shane Bowen point. Shane Bowen does need to be a little bit more aggressive as a defensive play caller, but hopefully, I think he has the pieces now that he can be a little more aggressive. I feel like some of that was just because you got to mask some of your deficiencies as well.
They won't be able to.
I get
Banks can't cover nobody. I'm just
well. If Banks can't cover nobody. If Banks can't cover nobody, he won't be on the field, man. I mean, it is what it is. He's on notice now. He's fully on notice. So if he has those same struggles again this season in coverage, he's gonna be watching the game from the bench, from the sideline. I mean, it just is what it is. But let's talk about the offense a little bit. As far as offensively with this football team, sure. I mean, like I said, everybody has their strong opinions about Russell Wilson, and like I said, very much a realist, man. Like I know we're not getting the guy from Seattle. You're not getting that guy. That
No,
guy doesn't exist
absolutely not.
anymore. He doesn't exist anymore. But is he a far more competent quarterback than what we've had here the last 6 years? He absolutely is. He absolutely is, and that's what you got to look at. He's just better at processing. He's a better decision maker. He's definitely not scared to unleash the deep ball. It's just like night and day. I mean, like I said, he came out. Sure, it's practice, but he came out today. Play number one, just a dart to the end zone to Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, it's night and day, man. Like I said, so I'm not expecting Russell Wilson to just catapult and be a top 10 quarterback again. I'm not crazy. That's not going to happen. Not very likely to happen anyway. But I just want people need to understand that he's an upgrade, and that's going to make a difference on the way this offense functions and the way it moves. I mean, as far as the running game goes, Tyrone Tracy Jr. showed a lot last season, and now he'll be in that role as pretty much the guy with Cam Scatterboo and Devin Singletary, Turbo Miller potentially all the depth pieces there. However they end up falling on the depth chart. I just think this offense is not going to necessarily. I'm not looking at like it's going to be the greatest show on turf, but they're going to be scoring more than 10 points a game at home. I'm expecting that this season for sure. That they'll be scoring more than 10 points a game at home. I mean, if you take that Indianapolis game out and throw that game out, that's all this team averaged at home last year was 10 fucking points a game. 10 points. That's not acceptable. And they have to do better, and I think they will do better. I think this wide receiver group, I think they're potentially a lot better than people think. I mean, everybody obviously knows what Malik Neighbors is, obviously the superstar that Malik Neighbors is. But I think there's untapped potential in Wan'Dale Robinson. Like I said, people can get on him about the drops and everything, but at the same time, let's talk about the terrible passes thrown his way. Give that man an opportunity to pick up some yak. Give him an opportunity to, because I think he's capable. I think that's something he brings to the table that he'd be really, really good at if he could ever get hit in stride ever with a pass. Could ever hit him in stride. I mean, just give him an opportunity, and I think he'll get more of those opportunities this season with more competent quarterback play. Jalen Hyatt could be untapped potential. He has a lot to prove this year. This is definitely a make it or break it season for that young man. We don't really know. And then Darius Slayton, he is what he is, you know what I mean? And he can be that reliable kind of guy that's going to make those big plays for you here and there downfield, especially. I mean, he's proven that throughout his career. He can be a big playmaker down the field. You just need a quarterback that's going to unload that thing. Darius Slayton, I mean, so I think this wide receiver room, where it's not great, it's definitely, not as strong as some of their, their division rivals receiver rooms are. It's still, I think there's a lot of untapped potential here because it's been such poor quarterback play over the last several years here that we haven't really seen what these wide receivers really are, man, honestly. And I think we'll get a better opportunity to take a look at that this year, man, and we'll really have a better idea of what directions we need to go going forward and continuing constructing this roster.
Well, you said some good points here. I think the black cloud of quarterback play is gone. There's a renewed sense of excitement around the team, and it starts with the quarterback, right? Whether you like Russell Wilson or not, I like the guy. I don't expect, like you said, Russell of old. I'm expecting Denver Russell, 26 touchdowns, 3,100 yards, something along those lines. If he plays the full season, that is. There is that caveat where they did draft a kid behind him in Jackson Dart, who I believe is going to play. But let me touch on a few things before I get into that guy. I think what you'll see with the offense is I don't know if they're going to score more than 14 points a game. What I think the offense will look like is what when you saw Tyler, what's the kid, Tyrod Taylor, when he played on the offense, he threw the ball downfield and he manipulated the pocket a little bit. You're going to see that with Russell Wilson. You're going to see a guy who's not going to be afraid to throw the ball downfield, take a check down, run for a first down, competent quarterback play, which we would have had if we had a guy like Tyron Taylor. This is I wouldn't say he's an upgrade over Tyron Taylor. I'd say he's right about the same. But if you watch that offense against the Rams that they played, they were throwing the ball downfield to Darius Slayton to the back end. You're going to see that. Russell Wilson's also got a couple modes. He's got deep, and then he's got the check down. So you'll see a lot of Cam Scatterbo, Tyrone Tracy. You're going to see a lot of drives continue. Whether they continue with a touchdown will be determined on whether how aggressive Russell Wilson is going to be. Sometimes he does hold the ball a little bit. Um, you know, he's going to hold the ball a little bit long, but that's what he does. And we'll see if the run game can get off the ground, how well he was. In Pittsburgh, he was effective, but he did tail off down the stretch, right? And while Pittsburgh's offense is not that diverse, I don't know what he'll be here. Now, this brings us to the conundrum that we're in. Okay, the Giants, obviously, as you know, drafted a quarterback. So what does that mean? Well, to me, it means this is a throwaway year. I don't care what happens. I think it's going to be exciting to watch this team. There's going to be a lot of more big plays on offense. The offense won't be boring, at least to watch. I don't know if that'll translate into W's because I don't know if Brian Dable's the play caller that we think he is. His offense has been so bad that we haven't been able to see him and how diverse some of his playbook is and if those plays work. Remember the flea flicker to the Panthers. The incompetence of the quarterback led us to not being able to know if that play was going to work because they're breaking to the right and he's still staring at the left. And there's nothing in the left because everyone's broken to the right. So when you do have limited quarterback play, it does hinder you as a play caller. So I'm intrigued to see how Brian Dable does. But with that being said, Jackson Dart. There's been a couple of speculations from podcasts, a few things that were said that one, they're lukewarm about the guy, some in the building, and he may need some development and all this other stuff. And I'm looking at it like this. A friend of mine of the show, Chris Bucco, if you guys know him, he mentioned something. We had a discussion about this. What do we think? Should we start the kid? And I think if the season goes badly to start, you're 1-3, start the kid. Because he said this, if he's bad next year and you know you have nothing with him, you'll be in a position to draft a quarterback next year and the regime will be fired anyways. And let's be honest, if the Giants don't get out the gate early, right? They play two divisional opponents right out the gate, and then they play two of the biggest teams in the AFC West in Kansas City and LA. It's going to be a tough 4 games. If they don't have a 500 record, you got to start to think about this kid and when you're going to put him in. Because at the end of the day, we can't always say, well, let's do the Patrick Mahomes thing. People forget that Patrick Mahomes, that team was a playoff team. Okay. They were a playoff team prior to Patrick Mahomes getting there. People forget they were 23rd in the draft and like traded up to get their guy or wherever they were. I don't remember how high they were, but they had to trade up to get Patrick Mahomes. Right? So they were a playoff team. Then they went to the playoffs with Alex Smith. So they knew what they had in Smith, and then they got some trade bait for him. Right? The Giants are not necessarily in that same situation. And let's be honest, they already showed you the writing on the wall with Russell Wilson. They're not giving they gave him basically incentives to make $21 million. And there's a lot of incentives based in there. You would have to see an absolute unicorn to see all those incentives go down. So what it means to me is he's just keeping the seat warm. With that being said, I think what's going to define Brian Dable here is not Russell Wilson because he's a 14-year vet. It's going to be how you get me to see Jackson Dart because this guy is your quarterback. You hand selected him. Apparently, according to Pat Leonard, they weren't sold on anybody up until the week of the draft, right? And they chose Jackson Dart. So, they liked Dart obviously in their findings, but they were trying to get Cam Ward in this system, and in the last minute they're picking Dart. I don't want you to hear any of these rumors or believe them. They are tied to the hip at Jackson Dart. They chose him. If they didn't have conviction in the guy and they didn't like him, then they shouldn't have chosen. You don't choose him for a guy who's on the hot seat. Okay, you don't say, "All right, I'm gonna tie my ship to Jackson Dart and be lukewarm." You either have to be on board, right? So they're gonna live and die with it. I don't want to see the different timetables or different timelines. No, but this season to me is mainly about building this kid up and seeing what we have in him. Even if we're winning games, what purpose does it serve outside of, you see Russell Wilson in there, great, you'll make the playoffs, you keep your job, but then what's thrusting him in here? You put him a year behind the 8 ball. Like it's not like Minnesota. Minnesota lucked out with Sam Darnold. They were going tooth and nail with JJ McCarthy. It was neck and neck for that job, right? It was a competitive job. The job was open. You didn't have to worry about it. Now, obviously, JJ McCarthy got injured, and Sam Darnold went off to have a good game and good. That team went to 14-2. I don't know if that's going to happen here. And so for me, if the season is going bad, or even Russell's playing average, I got to see the kid. I got to know what I've got in this kid before 2026, because the fate of Brian Daboll is in that kid's hands. You can't just say, let's say they have a bad season, go 7-10, and ride out with Russell Wilson the entire way. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see that. Right? If this team's 1-5, 2-4, or anything under 500 by the time they hit 8 games, right? 3-5 down the stretch. Don't tell me you're gonna now all of a sudden miraculously play to make the playoffs. Understand where you're at, and let me see the young kid, because getting him experience in a season that might be a throwaway. Look what happened to Jalen Hurts. He got 6 games at the end of the year. Had a 300-yard game against the Cowboys. You know, and so I don't want to just not see him because we're trying to quote unquote win. If this team is faltering a little bit, don't hesitate to pull the trigger, Brian Daboll, because your fate lies in the hands of that kid, not in the hands of Russell Wilson.
I mean, look, I agree. And this is I left this comment up here because I agree 1,000%. I mean, this is where it's at with Jackson Dart. I don't think the Giants really have luxury of sitting Dart. The quarterback class 26 is way too strong at the position to slow play this. Yeah, absolutely. Because you need to know what you got in Jackson Dart this year, because what you got coming out next year, if you need to grab one of those guys,
Exactly.
you need to know whether you need to grab one of those guys.
Exactly.
So and you can't, like you said, you just can't slow play this. This is big time right now this year. This is an important decision. This is going to be an important decision, man. And you got to find out what you got, Jack. Let's face it. Let me keep it all the way real. Because I love this football team, and I absolutely do. And I think we're going to take some positive strides in the right direction. I feel wholeheartedly about that. But let's face it, I do not think we're going to be a really good football team. I still believe we're going to have our struggles, and it's still going to be a rough year. So you need to get Jackson Dart out there. You need to find out what you got, and you need to know if he's the answer going forward, and you can continue to build around him in the next upcoming draft, or do you need to move on and already, bring somebody else in that's going to be the future?
You're making my point even bigger, right? Because like Viola says, there is a decent quarterback class right now that we think comes out. We don't know who's going to do what, but remember, they were interested in Drew Aller and a few other guys. Nussmeier's out there, who's definitely going to come out. Arch Manning, there's speculation. Who knows what he does, right? If he has a big year, they win the national title. But you need to see this kid. You can't wait till 2026 and then, try to sign a 37-year-old Russell Wilson and then miss out on the quarterback class and then not know, right? It would be stupid and foolish, because this regime may not be here next year. So we need to know if this kid is going to be able to survive that, right? And if he can, like I said, Brian Daboll's fate to me doesn't ride on Russell Wilson. It rides on Jackson Dart. If he gets that kid, that's what it's got to be. And I heard that he got like 1 rep with the first team. Somebody said it best last year. Somebody gave, I don't know who it was, but they gave Drake May and the Patriots 30% of the reps during the training camp and regular season, because they knew it was going to be him. I want to see that. Let me see that. I know he threw a pick 6, but he's not going to get better just sitting on the bench, collecting notes from fucking Wilson. He's going to get better by playing. He's going to get better by building a camaraderie and a presence. And we got to find out if he can play. You'll know. He could have a bad season, and you can say, okay, this guy has got some potential, right? I'm not saying the guys need to go out, but Drake May, are the Patriots worried about Drake May? Like, are they confident they have a decent quarterback? They're confident, like that he had a solid rookie year, and that they're like, all right, let's see what we got in him now. Caleb Williams, right? They're over there with Ben Johnson. They know what they have in the kid. Now, obviously Jaden Daniels. Look at Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr. Michael Penix Jr. played far less than any one of the quarterbacks, and Atlanta is riding with it. But look what they did. They have a backup quarterback, a veteran, that if shit hits the fan or they get injured, they can turn to the vet and Kirk Cousins and say, hey, let's go, right? The Giants could do the same thing. You could start the kid if you want down the stretch and say, hey, lean on Russell. He can help you see things that you may not be able to see as a quarterback coach. Because I'm not saying Russell Wilson's great, but I know what Russell Wilson is, right? I'm glad they don't have a quarterback in Daniel Jones, which means we'll be a little bit more competent. How much more, I don't know. But at the end of the day, if Nomad said, if we don't get out the gate fast in week 1 and beat one of these two teams who are playing in their building, who've had success against us, both the Cowboys and the Commanders have beaten us back-to-back years. Dak Prescott hasn't lost a damn football game to this team since he's been the starting quarterback of the Giants. Okay, there's a renewed sense of urgency down in Washington. They open up with a team in the Giants who they think is 3-13, who had a 3-13 year. They're coming in. They're looking for blood. Okay, we can't sit here and say that if the Giants, are fucking 1-3, that I want to see Russell Wilson. At that point, you got to really make a decision and say, look, because I don't think they're beating Kansas City, and they're going to have a tough out with the Chargers. So the two games that we have, and everyone told me last year was going to be a toss-up, are division opponents, and you never know what's going to happen. And if we end up out the gate not 2-2, and we don't have much of a season, or we're still like fighting, but we're losing games by close margins because of a fumble here or there, I can't just justify sitting there and letting the kid rot, right? I need to find out, especially the quarterback class that we deem is going to be better, that everyone was kicking the can down the road for, right? We need to be able to find out if we need to draft a quarterback next year, because I think they're going to draft one anyways, because the class is going to be that deep. But whether it's going to be, do I draft one in the first and second round, or am I drafting a guy like Kyle McCord to develop behind Jameis Winston and Jackson Dart?
Look, man, it's a fair point, dealer, man. I'm not mad at you. I don't think it was extreme at all. I mean, you got this.
What comment?
He's talking about this comment here. It's the NFL, man. I mean, you gotta guys got to be ready, man. This is the big leagues. You know what I mean? It's a step up in class, big time. So,
well, it's more about what we have to look at here. And Jackson Dart, sorry to cut you off. Is what we had with Daniel Jones was a fucking shitstorm. The guy was mentally a wreck. Physically, he had injuries as well, and he was dumb processor. But he wasn't made for the starting lineup. What I need to see out of Jackson Dart is I don't need to see, a Baker Mayfield season. I need to see like a Drake May. Are you getting it? Are you making the right plays? Are you getting the team in and out of the huddle? Are you throwing the ball and making decent decisions downfield, right? Because essentially you're 25th player taken in the draft, your first round pick. I don't need you to win me games right now. I need you to understand the speed. Like he said in his interview, I tried to force the ball. The NFL's a lot faster than I anticipated, right? And the guy injured him, and it was a pick six. And not injured him, undercut the ball, and it was a pick six. Those are the learning things I need to see. But I don't need him to go out and have a killer season. I need to go out and say 22. Because if I go into, let me ask you this, Mac. If you go into next year in 2026 with not seeing Jackson Dart, how much confidence are you going to have in him?
I mean, with the talent that's coming out, I'm not sure how much confidence you could have in him. Like I said, because some of the talent that's coming out may be too good to pass up on, and then you don't even know, and then maybe you had the guy all the time, and you don't even really realize it, and then it could be a mess. It could end up, it could just end up being a mess. They need to figure out. They need to figure out what they got. They need to know what they have in Jackson Dart this season. At some point, they need to figure it out. Because, like I said, the reality is, I don't expect it to be a good year. I expect it to be a progressive year, but not a good year.
Right.
So I expect it
to be more Brian Dable's second year with the 6-10 season, with Tyrod Taylor and that shit. I think it's going to be like that. We're going to see a lot of big plays, but you're also going to see the offense struggle at times against better defenses, with the lack of personnel, with the lack of, like, Russell Wilson's not great. He's going to hold the ball, right? He's just better than what we got, and what we got was shit. When you go from shit to not shit, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, this not shit is better than shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's still shit. You know what I mean? It's not much better than what you got, but it's better than. It's like, oh, okay, great. It's like when you get a car, right? You got a shitty car, right? But now you got this rental, and it's not great. It's not a car. It's not the car of your dreams, but it'll do, right? It'll do. Right now, we have a quarterback room that'll do. It was better than the jalopy that we were riding around in last year, where the wheels were falling off. We had donuts all over the fucking 3 out of 4 tires were donuts. We had busted windows and brakes didn't work. Like, we got a full running car this time. And how good it will be will depend on Brian Dable and how the offense comes out. But at the end of the day, for me, I don't care what the season result is, playoffs or not. I need to see Jackson Dart in the game because the future is not Russell Wilson. The future is Jackson Dart. And like we said, the darker it gets early, the bigger the crows will be. And come that season next year, because college football is going to have a big year, and they're going to be quarterbacks every week. If we're sitting here, we don't see Jackson Dart, or we think this guy's a fucking failure, and we see a guy like Drew Aller, and a new regime comes in here. They picked him up. They picked him 25. They didn't pick him number 6, right? So they're going to be able to kind of move on from him if they need to. So there's a big. That's for me. And I know we ran a little over time. I know Mac has a few more words, but I'm going to end it like this. For me, the Giant season, and take it as this. If you're going to hate me, you can hate me all you want. Call me a loser Giant fan, whatever. I don't care. I don't give a damn about the record. I give a damn about what Jackson Dart is going to give me. The Giants did that when they drafted him. If they had just given me Jameis Winston, Tommy Cutlets, and Jameis Winston, the expectation for me would be a little different. But since you drafted this kid, now my message is let me see him. I don't care what we do. I don't care how it looks. I need to know he's the future. And that's what my season needs to be this year.
Yeah. And on that note, like you said, we have run a little over time. I mean, a little bit today. You try to keep it at a tight about 90 minutes or so. But at the end of the day, I wanted to deep dive a little bit into the O-line, but I'll say that for next week. You know, I will save it for next week because I do have to get ready to wrap things up for this week.
Right. You're
really
right. Let's save that for next year.
Really appreciate everybody, you know, tuning in today. We really appreciate you guys coming back out, showing us support as we get the new season started, man. You're going to get me and Adam here every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. From now until the last NFC East team is standing. We are back in full effect each and every Wednesday, man. And we most definitely appreciate that.
No other place I'd rather be on a Wednesday evening. That is a damn fact.
In the news for Reuters, Broncos.
But I appreciate we appreciate you guys coming out. Deilla kept the chat lit. Appreciate that. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Always, man. Love you. Appreciate the support, you guys. Make sure y'all go sub up, like on Adam's channel, and Adam Costas. Make sure y'all go sub up and like on my channel. Make sure y'all go sub up and like on the Hardcore Sports Network as well. Most definitely appreciate y'all, and we will be back next Wednesday, same time, talking about that NFC East, man. And we'll be getting y'all ready for the preseason action next week. As a matter of fact, that we'll be having preseason game to preview and discuss and talk about. So we'll see y'all next Wednesday, man. Thanks again for coming out. Thanks for the support, man. Peace. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MACDA Giants Fan.